Week 6. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Ragsdale Rumble, brought to you by the Herb and Rodg podcast. I am your host, BigMike, and I am joined, as always, by both competitors. We will start with Rodg. Rodg, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastically splendid on this beautiful Friday evening, Mike. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastically splendid as well. Glad you are. Getting ready for some football action this weekend.
Yes.
A couple of big games that we will talk about, but we can't have a competition without a competitor. You see the man dancing up there to my right, right up there. Herb, how you doing tonight?
Well, this is the 17th take we've had of the show tonight. The first time that we got the whole intro right. So, man, I am now doing splendidly fantastic.
There you go. I guess we'll get to it before I have any more issues. I apologize. I do have some technical issues here. But we will get into hopefully not having any technical issues for our football this weekend. It is week 6. Last week, there were 2 games up for grabs. They did both go Rodg's way, which gave him a 2-game lead for the week. And then checking in on the scoreboard, it is now Rodg up by 3 games. Still very early in the season. Still very, very, very many games to go left in the season. A long time. Anybody's contest still. We will get right into this week in the big matchups. First up, you have number 10 Michigan going into Washington at a 6:30 game. Again, the game is in Washington, which I'm guessing is why Washington is favored by 1.5 according to ESPN. Rodg, as the leader, you're up first. Who do you have and why?
All right. I'm not really sure if Washington has kind of been tested this year. The toughest team they played was Washington State. They're coming off this really, really bad loss to Rutgers. Michigan, on the other hand, Michigan has kind of been trending upwards after their beat down from Texas in Ann Arbor. They came back and got the USC win. They're playing pretty good football. They're slowly trying to identify their offensive threat, which is the run game. I don't think they've gotten a hold of the passing game. I honestly don't know if they will by the time the season's over. I'm going to go ahead and take Michigan to win this game.
Yeah.
All right. Rodg takes Michigan. Herb, do you agree?
Yeah, I do. This is one of those, like, I know Michigan had the game against Texas, but they've managed to win the other games with their formula, from last year, although it's even worse. I mean, they're 130th in the nation in passing offense. I thought it would be under 100 because I believe their last 2, maybe 3 games, they've been at under 100 yards passing. So this is I didn't think they'd get to 115. Washington, I just can't think of anything notable. Like Rodg said, they lost to Rutgers. They lost to Washington State. They have the 20th ranked offense. That must have come from earlier games because they haven't looked good against the 2 top teams. I'm surprised they're favorite even at home. So I had to take Michigan in this one. And has there ever been like a championship game rematch that went more under the radar?
Nobody's really talking about this one.
Nobody cares.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an odd matchup the year after both of them were in the national championship game. Both lost their head coach, both lost starting quarterbacks to the NFL. Both lost a ton of players to the NFL into the transfer portal. Both of them losing key players to Alabama. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, definitely good game. But both players picking Michigan. So no disagreement there. We will move on to the next game. West Virginia goes into Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State favored by 3 points. Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
I feel like I've been wrong on every Oklahoma State game, like all year, So it's like anytime I pick them, I thought they'd be kind of a class of the Big 12. I thought they'd stand up, They're losing games left to right. They're kind of right in the middle on the offense, 59th in the country. The defense hasn't been able to stop anyone. But then it's West Virginia. Like, I don't know. I have on my paper marked that I wanted to take Oklahoma State in this game. So I think I'm going to take West Virginia, and maybe I'll outsmart myself. Oklahoma State, this is a personal pick. They have let me down every single time. So I'm going to take West Virginia, and Rodg, you probably want to take Oklahoma State because they're going to win this game by 20. But I'm flip-flopping in the middle of my pick. I just don't have anything good to say about either one of these 2 teams. I think they're both going to give up a lot of points. The line is 65 for a reason. And, it'll be kind of like the backyard brawl all over again. Last team with the ball wins.
So is that kind of like an unofficial Herb with an anti-Herb pick?
This is Herb with an anti-Herb pick.
Well, that's always an interesting strategy. Raj, do you agree with the anti-Herb pick?
I did at first, but since he changed to West Virginia, so does this even count as an anti-Herb pick? Because he initially picked Oklahoma State, and that's the team that I'm picking. I'm picking Oklahoma State to win. To Herb's point, though, I mean, I could see it going either way. Both teams' offense and defense just isn't that great. West Virginia is giving up almost 30 points a game. Oklahoma State, but I don't know. I just picked Oklahoma State. I really can't give you a legit reason as to why, but I do think Oklahoma State covers and they get their first conference win tomorrow.
Yeah. The defenses are ranked 107 and 130. So,
oh Lord, anything could happen.
The next tackle will be the first tackle of their careers. So, yeah, it's this.
Yeah, definitely. And again, some history on the Ragsdale Rumble. The first anti pick, maybe. I don't know how to explain that, but we do have our first disagreement of the week. Hopefully that creates a little bit of excitement for this game. I mean, not really any other reason for us to watch this game otherwise. So maybe that'll put some extra eyeballs on there. Moving right along, you have South Carolina and Ole Miss. Ole Miss ranked number 12. The game is in South Carolina. Ole Miss is favored by 8.5. Roger, up first to this, and you have why.
This is another tricky one. I'm not gonna lie. I guess prior to the season beginning, everybody would just pick Ole Miss, but seeing how they played against Kentucky, you just don't know what you're going to get from this team. Well, I understand Kentucky's defense is good, and I get that, but I just feel like Ole Miss, they could have mustered up a few more points than they did and won that game. I don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. So South Carolina's defense isn't as good as Kentucky. It is good. I think it's still ranked pretty high, but it's not as good as Kentucky's from what I've seen just from the eye test. So with that being said, I'm going to look for Ole Miss to bounce back after the loss from last week to Kentucky and to cover in this game. But honestly, I can see it going either way, but I'll lean towards Ole Miss.
Herb, do you agree?
Yeah, I like Ole Miss in the bounce back. South Carolina surprisingly does have the 14th ranked defense, but I think that's probably more a byproduct of who they've played, I guess, than playing Kentucky will always help boost your defensive numbers. Yeah. The LSU game kind of maybe skewed in another direction. I approach this like I want reasons to pick South Carolina, but I just didn't believe in their offense enough, and I think Ole Miss will get enough done. Plus, with the bounce back of already, like Ole Miss has no margin for error anymore, and they still have Georgia on the schedule. So this is kind of one of those you have to go in and prove yourself kind of games.
I was about to say, if Ole Miss loses this game, they're most likely out of the playoff because they're going to get another loss. Yeah.
If you lose to two unranked teams, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you, like South Carolina and Kentucky both in the year unranked, and probably both with at least 3 to 4 losses. If you lose to both of them, I mean, you can beat Georgia by 30 and still not make it. So you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So this is a make or break for Ole Miss. I pick them to win. But I wanted a reason to pick South Carolina because this is a perfect spot.
All right, there you go. Everybody picking Ole Miss there. Moving on to the next game. What I have called for most of the season, Gus Malzahn's job interview for next year. UCF taking on Florida in the Swamp. UCF is still favored by 1.5. Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
I mean, I take everything personal here. UCF just – I don't want to say they blew that game last week because I don't want to insult Colorado. Colorado, they stuck it to them. But they got away from everything they do. They're a rushing offense. They were forced to pass. They were trying to put it in the air a lot more. That didn't work out. We've seen KJ Jefferson. We know he's a bruiser back there. He might hit a couple passes, but he's probably rather run you over than throw over you. So, and it's kind of like you said, Florida, they're 110th against the rush. This seems like a get-back game for UCF. And how much do they really muster up? Are they trying to save Billy Napier's job, or are they, one of 2 or 3 interviews out there? We were on a show this past week where we said Dion or Lane Kiffin could be in the works too as well. So, and then your earlier point, man, Gus Malzahn too as well. Is he interviewing? I just feel like UCF's got to get back to what they do, and this is the perfect time, like it's an SEC opponent to show what they could do. I'm taking UCF on the road.
All right. Raj, what do you think?
For a lot of the same reasons that Herb just mentioned, because he talked so long, I'm going to go ahead and take UCF as well. I just feel like offensively they just have more of an identity. They know what their strengths are. Obviously, again, to what Herb just said, they didn't do that last week against Colorado. They got a nice little butt whooping. But on the other hand, Florida's just I don't know too many positive things to say about Florida other than I do think that they will be looking for a new head coach soon if they already haven't. With that being said, no more to need to get into this game. I mean, I got UCF winning this game.
There you go. Good luck to Gus Malzahn in his interview. We'll see if he makes it back to the SEC. Moving on to SMU versus Louisville. The game is in Louisville. They are ranked number 22, and they are favored by 6.5 points. Rodg, who do you have and why?
Another tricky one. If you look at SMU's offense, they're averaging 43 points a game. Louisville coming off the loss to Notre Dame last week, even though I picked them to win the game. I think both teams have a pretty good offense. With that being said, I'm only taking Louisville in this game because they're at home. So I take Louisville to cover in this game.
All right, Herb?
Anti-Rodg pick. It's like he said going into this game, two good offenses. I think a lot of points will be put up. I was really hoping I was going second because I was already determined I was just going to take whoever Rodg didn't because I think this will be a good game. Louisville definitely has the edge only because they're at home, but I feel like if we were at SMU, that's who both of us would want to take as well. But I'm taking SMU. I think they jump. I keep forgetting this is a conference game.
I know it's so weird.
I'm not used to this at all. I'm like, oh, SMU, Louisville. It's a weird game in the middle. Oh, never mind. So yeah, I'm taking SMU on the road. I think that offense gets them, but I do think both the first team to get a stop probably wins this game.
All right, there you have it. Herb with the anti-Rodg pick, picking SMU over Louisville. And we will move on to.
I have an anti-Herb pick and an anti-Rodg pick.
Yes.
So the first thing that Mike says, I'm doing an anti-Mike pick, and it's unless he picks Bama, I'm not taking Vanderbilt. But other than that, that's what I'm waiting on.
Well, luckily, as my little tag under, I know you can't see it right now. I'm glad I don't have to pick these games, just because I know they're all very tricky and all very hard. And shout out to you guys who do it every week and put yourselves out there, whether you're right or wrong. That takes a lot of confidence and a lot of guts. So I will not pick, but we'll move on to the biggest game of the week. It's the only game that really features two ranked teams. Missouri travels into Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored by 2.5, even though Missouri's the higher ranked team. Herb, you're up first on this one. Who do you have and why?
Yeah, I said I wouldn't argue the line on this game, because they clearly know more than I do. Missouri has not looked good, escaping against BC, overtime against Vandy, which please don't let that be a thing for tomorrow, please. Yeah. But it's like you come in with such high hopes, and it's just they're living on the edge every week. Texas A&M quietly under the radar, I guess, after that Notre Dame game has been playing. Yeah. They've got a formula. We're going to play great defense and maybe try to score enough to win here and there. I just feel like that atmosphere gets them. Missouri not playing their best coming off that game. Texas A&M gets them at home. I'm taking Texas A&M.
Yeah. Texas A&M. Raj, do you agree?
Yeah, actually I do. I know Missouri's averaging around 32 points a game, but then again, Herb mentioned the College Station atmosphere, the 12th man, the 13th man, or whatever they want to call it down there. All the guys that dress up in their uniforms and dance with the cheerleaders and all that rah-rah stuff.
Whoa, you get to dance with the cheerleaders?
Well, they got a whole thing going on down there. But that Texas A&M atmosphere is kind of going to get to Missouri. Missouri, they haven't looked like the team that they were last year. Obviously, they're still ranked number 9 because they haven't lost, but I do think they encounter their first loss tomorrow in College Station. So I'm going to go with Texas A&M to cover in this game.
All right, there you have it. Everybody taking Texas A&M, and we have two games that will decide this week, much like we did last week. We'll see if they flip back towards Herb's way with both of his anti-picks, both himself and Rodg. And Rodg kind of with an anti-Herb pick, if you can call it that, because it was against the other anti-Herb pick. So We'll see how it goes. Hopefully everybody enjoys those games and gets to watch a little football. But we do have one more game to talk about. We don't pick it. We talk about it every week. I don't have a graphic for it, so we'll just go straight to us. Alabama, Vanderbilt. We talked before we came on, or at least Herb and I did. It does feel good to go into a week where you're not scared to death.
Yeah.
Not that we're not a little bit nervous just because Alabama's playing and anything can happen. But we'll do real quick score predictions because I know you guys have talked about the game on your show. Rodg, what do you think the score will be at the end of Alabama and Vanderbilt?
At first, I thought 45-10 or maybe 45-7, but I feel like with the way that our offense has been playing, I think we can run it up a little more. Not that we need to. So I'm going to lean more towards 52-10.
Ooh, good grief.
52-10. And I'm not nervous for anything at all. For these type of games, I just watch them just to. Of course, I want to see us play, but I also just want to make sure that all our players stay healthy, nobody gets hurt, and wouldn't mind seeing Ty Simpson get some PT in there and maybe throw a few passes here and there. 52-10.
Heard? Is your score anywhere close to that? What do you think?
I was thinking less. I mean, he's not off on kind of how we've done things in the past and how explosive our offense is. So I'm gonna land at like 41-3. I do think they'll score a touchdown, but I'm gonna put it out in the universe that we hold them without one. I just probably is slippery enough to get them one, I think for sure. I just think overall we're just the better team and the better talent. No offense to Vandy at all, but I just feel like we can get to them. I don't think we're gonna get. I know other people looking for a letdown from the Georgia game, but you saw Coach Shepard on there this week. He already looks fired up. He looks intense. Show them Vandy versus Missouri. That they can jump up and get somebody. So I think we're focused. 41-3.
All right, there you go. We have Bama picks from the guys. We have picks for all the other games. Again, looking forward to a great weekend of college football. Hopefully some of these games will overperform, even though they don't look great up front. We'll definitely still be glued to the TV all day Saturday. Hope everybody has a great weekend and enjoy some football. And as always, roll Tide.
Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.